What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Crafters Live. I'm David Wilson, and today we're back with another Friday stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the day, and this week is no exception. So let's see, I don't know, okay, cool. We're actually getting messages in the YouTube chat, just making sure. We had a very, very early message from Felimitheu, who asks about Dervish. We'll take a look at Dervish maybe a little bit later if we have time. We'll see how that goes. Hello to Hector, Shubash, Jeff, Thokal. I'm sure some more people will be messaging here. Chris, Mark, Gunn, Sully, Sem, Bill, I Can't Believe It, Fade, Joe. Nice to see everybody today. Thank you so much for being here. So, some more big news in the System Crafters community this week. I don't know if you saw the news post on the System Crafters website yesterday or the newsletter that I just sent out, or if you were on the System Crafters Discord, you might have seen this. But we are moving to Matrix and IRC. I've been talking about this for a while now. I've been kind of like unsatisfied with my choice of Discord as the first place that I try to gather a community of people to discuss the things that we talk about on this channel. And it's taken me a while to decide exactly where the right home would be, mainly because there's a few different options technically, like there's, Matrix, IRC, XMPP, and there's other open source options as well, but those are kind of like the three big ones. So what I really wanted to do was to move from a proprietary platform like Discord, where you really can't like legally, quote unquote, legally use other clients aside from just the official Discord client. And also, it's a monetized application. They're trying to get you to buy Nitro all the time. And I don't know, it's a proprietary app that's meant to get you to use that app more. So, I don't know. I personally feel like it's not the right place for the principles of this community, I suppose you could say. I've got a lot more information about my rationale and sort of the history of the change in this link on the news page of the System Crafters website. So if you're interested to learn more about that, definitely go take a look at that. So yesterday I made the announcement, and a lot of people have joined over on the Matrix space that I created on the matrix.org home server. If you don't know much about how matrix.org works, it's basically a federated Slack or Discord-like service. It's basically a chat service that's got more modern functionality, like, modern apps with history, because IRC doesn't have history by default. If you join an IRC server, you don't see any of the stuff that's been said before you join. Matrix also has emojis, link embeds, and also federation between servers, which means that you can create an account on some server, but you can also join a chat on another server. So it's kind of a more open protocol, and it's open also in the sense that you can use any client you want to access it. So there's no restriction on that. So for me, Matrix is a better option just because it gives you that freedom to choose what client you want to use. And actually, Emacs has a pretty good one called ement.el. I've got some information on that. Well, some light information on that on the website, but soon I'll be making a video going into more detail as I learn myself how to use it effectively. And then I'll be able to give sort of a good tutorial about how you can use that in Emacs to interact with the community, so you don't have to use web app or a desktop app for Matrix. But that's not the only thing. Also, we have IRC channels. I guess really it's been one channel for a long time on LibreChat, which is the successor to Freenode. And what my intention is to for every Matrix chat room we have for the System Crafters community, we're going to bridge that across to an equivalent channel on IRC. So that means that anyone who wants to join the chat in the community can either use Matrix or IRC to participate, which means you have a plethora of options for clients that you can use to chat with everyone. And it's basically however you want to do it. So Emacs has 2 built-in IRC clients, both ERC and RCIRC. There's also Circe or Circ. I don't know how you would want to pronounce that, which is another good client that's a package for Emacs. So just for Emacs alone, you have plenty of options for how you can join the chat. Unlike what we were doing before with Discord, where you only could use the heavy Electron-based web protocol-based or web platform-based client they have. So I feel like this is a better thing for the community, but there may still be changes going forward. In fact, there may be changes on a very short time scale, because I got some feedback about depending on matrix.org might not be the best thing to do, because there's a lot of people on that server, and there's times when it can get really slow because there's a lot of chats happening. So I'm also looking into the option of setting up our own home server on systemcrafters.net. I've got something in the works right now. I'm using, I've paid for a service to set a server up just to try it out and see if it might be better for a variety of reasons. I think it might be, but we'll see. And if that ends up being the case, I might move over some of what we've done on Matrix to this other home server, but still bridge it across to the same Libra chat rooms. So I'll let everybody know about that if and when it happens. I might not do it. It really just depends on whether it ends up being better to have my own home server. So certainly open to feedback on that point. But overall, I'm really happy with how many people joined over on the Matrix over the last day. We've been having a lot of fun chatting there with all the people who've joined over from Discord. So that's been great. I really appreciate everybody who joined up there. It feels like the community has sort of become more whole again, because I haven't been on Discord in a while because I haven't really wanted to use Discord. And yeah, I've been missing some of the people who hang out there. So glad to see people are coming back over. Ashraz says, you paid for a service? You didn't craft a Matrix home server system yourself? No, I didn't. And I don't want to host one myself either, because it probably will be a lot of work. And that's one reason why I hesitated on Matrix for so long, is because I don't want to host my own. XMPP seemed like a much better option for self-hosting. In fact, with GNU Geeks, I was very easily able to set up an XMPP server that worked pretty well. But what I found is that XMPP apps for mobile, and even for Emacs and for other clients, aren't really so great at community-style chat servers. So you can discover rooms, but it seems really loose and disconnected. And I wanted a bit more of a focused experience where I could just give you a list of rooms so that you know exactly which rooms are available. You can join the ones you want to join, and then you have a more coherent, like, System Crafters community experience. Matrix does allow that through the use of a feature called Spaces, where I can create a space that then I can just drag all of the individual rooms I create for System Crafters into that space, and that is the sort of central entry point that you join, sort of like joining a Discord server. So it's much better for that. And I think that that's ultimately going to be the way going forward. The host that I'm using has a couple different web clients, and one of them is kind of nice. Maybe I'll show it on another time because I don't remember the link to it, but I think it'll be a good experience. Let's see what happens. I'll let you know if we move somewhere else, but I'm going to try to do it as soon as possible, because I don't want to have yet another change in a week or two. I'd rather just get it done now if it's going to happen before more people start joining. So Joe asks, is there a link to the Matrix somewhere? Go to the community section of the System Crafters website. Can I use Qt Browser? No, it's probably not working, is it? Is it working? Not on this computer. Whoa. Firefox. All right, systemcrafters.net/community. And it's right here. You can join the System Crafters space on matrix.org. Like I said, excuse me, that might move somewhere else. As soon as it does move, if it does move, I'll update this link here. I'll give some more context on this page so that you know exactly where to join. And I'll try to provide a way to migrate over a little bit more cleanly. Like, for instance, I think I can add the new rooms on the System Crafters home server to this System Crafters space, just as a way to invite people over. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that works. P-Del says, nice, I hop in there. Recently found this YouTube channel. I've been binging it. Helped me set up MU4E and stuff. Thank you. Sorry. I'm coming out from a cold. Like, actually, I think I've had 2 colds in the past week. I don't know what's going on. It's nice to have a kid in school. Now I'm going to have 2, so I'll be getting sick twice as often. All right. So that's the update on chat. I'm certainly interested to hear people's feedback on that, so definitely let me know if you happen to join the Matrix or the IRC, or just send me an email, david@systemcrackers.net, if you have feedback, so just let me know. P-Dale says, congrats on the new clan member. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a little bit nutty recently, trying to get ready for all that. Welcome to the club of clogged noses. Yeah, it's a mess. I'm not a fan. All right, so I also want to remind people to subscribe to the System Crafters newsletter. That's a new thing that just started last week. Go to systemcrafters.net/newsletter. Just sent out the issue number 2 yesterday. Hopefully people liked that. Let me know if you did. It came out a little bit late because I was in a rush because the Discord announcement sort of like sucked up more of my time than I thought it would after everybody started reacting to it. So I had to deal with that primarily, but I think it turned out pretty good this time. I'm enjoying making them. I think that it's kind of an interesting way to deliver some new stuff that doesn't require creating videos or writing long articles or anything. So it's just little tips here and there. So kind of useful stuff. Hello to Def B and Slalom Skater. And also, there's a link on the new System Crafters site for links to where you can go to help support my work. If you check out the How to Help section at the top, and then there's a support my work section if you want to help support the channel financially. If I start paying for services like a home server, then depending on how many people join it, it might start to get a little bit more expensive. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm willing to do it because I want to have a nice place for us to be. So it's all good regardless of what happens there. That's it for the spiel today. So let's get into the real topic, which is to explore the depths of Dired. So maybe you've used Dired, maybe you haven't, but I'm sure that you've probably heard of it if you've spent any time in the Emacs space. But I feel that Dired is one of the truly great features of Emacs, but it's kind of hard to adopt at first because the interface is kind of bland and unhelpful. Well, in fact, let's pull up a blank Emacs session. How about that? So Emacs-Q. Is that the wrong one? Wait. Is it cap Q? There we go. So Dired. I'm going to put it into this folder here. So it basically looks like an LS listing, right? Not super obvious how you're supposed to use this. So what we're going to do today is to try to understand some of the right ways to use Dired. There's plenty of packages that you can install that will give you a better Dired experience. I use quite a few in my configuration to kind of make things a bit better. But let's look at it as it is in the box and see how far we can get with it. In fact, let's change this theme. Load theme, Wombat. I don't know. What is it? Tango? Maybe Tango's good, huh? That's not Tango. Tango Dark. Load theme. Doesn't look bad though. Tango Dark. All right, cool. Tim says, my first question answered. How to pronounce Dired? Well, it's the directory editor. So dir, you can say Dired, I guess, or directory, Dired. So that's the way that I understand to pronounce it. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully I'm right about that. I think I am. So anyway, we're in Dired right now. I just did a Meta X or Alt X Dired, and it jumped me to the folder that's relative to the current directory of the file that I was looking at. So, or actually in this case, I wasn't looking at a file, but I started this Emacs instance from within a lot of GTK output here, the systemcrafters.net/content/livestreams folder. So we just picked up that as a default directory. So it just jumped into this directory by default. Ashra says that file naming scheme. I'm doing it so it looks nice in the URLs. I don't want to use like ISO timestamps for names. Come on. That just looks ugly, in my opinion. I could use the names of the streams too, but I've been using this pattern for, it looks like 2 years now, so I don't think I'm going to change it anytime soon. All right, so The interesting thing about Dired is that it's basically just an Emacs buffer. You use the normal navigation keys to get around. Did it lock up? What's going on right now? Hello? Oh. This is interesting. What just happened? All right, cool. There we go. Control N, Control P. I don't have keycast mode set up here, so you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just using the normal built-in Emacs key bindings. No evil here. I'm using Control N, Control P to navigate around. You can use Control B, Control F. So it's just a normal text buffer in Emacs. So this is sort of like the basis for the interface of Dired. And it does seem a little bit weird out of the box because it's just text. So you're like, okay, what happens if I delete a line? Well, I don't really want to try it. I guess I could try it. So what if I use what is it, Control K? If I use Control K here. Oh, okay, so it says it's read only. So at least you know that you can't delete lines willy-nilly. There's other commands you can use for actually deleting files and doing file management operations. So the power of Dired comes from the fact that each line of this buffer, Dired actually knows which file that it correlates to. So any operations you do on each of the files using the commands of Dired will act on the files that have been marked or selected. Now, I don't remember the marking commands here. Dired mark. Okay, it's just M, lowercase m. So if I wanted to mark some files, I could just press M, 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 M. And what that is doing is marking these files to be affected by whatever the next operation is that I want to do in this buffer. So first of all, I could try to delete these files if I wanted to. So Dired delete, what would that be? Maybe it's just K. There's a copy file name as kill. Let's try that. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so it copies the list of file names. I think if you use Control U, W, okay, that didn't work. I thought it copied the whole file path for this, but that's okay. Still, it gives you the file names that you can go into a scratch buffer and use Control Y to paste those in. So if you want to copy the list of file names, you can actually do that pretty easily. I feel like Dired, yeah, I'm not using any good configuration here, so we're using just plain old Emacs right now. So do kill lines. I think K is the one I want to kill those. A lot of commands here. We may have to do this in my own configuration just because I don't want to have to struggle too much with this one. But we're seeing a lot of useful things already. If you look at this completion list for Dired, you can see that, let's see, I'm guessing that's manual pages, renaming files, you can create symlinks, you can touch files in case you want to update the last modified timestamp for the files, finding alternate file, we'll have to look into that. Find file other window, which I think is going based on the selection. Let's see, what else? Hide all and hide subdirectory. We'll look at that too, because that's interesting. Load, print, redisplay, view. And there's a T. What does T do? Oh, interesting. So that's kind of cool. T is a command called Control HKT. Dired toggle marks. So what it does is if you mark a number of files in the Dired buffer, then if you press T, it will invert that selection. So if what you want to do is say, all right, these 4 files I don't want to delete, but I want to delete everything else, you can select those 4 files using M to mark them. I can do a couple more, and then press T and it will invert that selection. Then I could press K. It says it killed the lines. I don't know if that's just killing the lines. I don't think it's deleting the files, so. All right, I got a lot of, geez. Got a lot of matrix notification spam on my other window here, and I can't actually see the chat. Eric says, I think capital D delete is not what you wanted. Let's see, what is capital D? Just do delete. Delete all marked or arg files. I think I can undo that, right? So let's undo all the marks. I think if I press U, capital U, all right, capital U unmarks everything, all right? So I can mark multiple files, and I can press U to then, what's it doing now? Nothing. Okay, that makes sense. Capital U will unmark everything that's marked in case you want to unmark things. So M is mark, lowercase m, capital U is unmark. I can go through here and mark a few files and press capital D. It will ask me if I want to delete the files. So that's nice. If I want to go through, do some basic file management tasks like deletes, I can do that. Also, capital R is basically move. It's called rename, but actually this is a move in many cases, because if you only have one file selected, let's say I do just a mark on one file, capital R, it's telling me rename August 31st, 2021 to something. If I want to move this to another folder, I can move this down to content. If I delete this folder here in the path and just press enter, it will actually move that down to content. And if I think it's Control Alt U, how do you go up? Dired up. Up directory. Okay, caret. So it's Shift 6 to go up one directory. And now that August 13th is here, if I would do capital R again, I can put this back into live streams, and then I can go back to live streams by pressing enter, and then that file is back here again. So deleting files, moving files is not super hard, and it's actually quite nice because it's easy to just go select a bunch of files here. You don't have to go clicking around on files like you do in a graphical file browser like Nautilus or Thunar or Windows Explorer or Finder or whatever. You can just go into an Emacs buffer and use your keyboard keys to navigate around, select the files that you want to operate on, and then do obvious file actions. I believe there's also a copy. Dired, what is it? Duplicate? What's the thing for copy? There's also a create directory with plus sign, but that's not really useful right now. Okay, Chris says for you need to be on the marked file. Try backspace instead. Cool, thank you. Okay, so Felipe says capital C. Okay, I see do copy here. Why didn't I show up before? Interesting. Anyway, so what I'll do is mark a few files, capital C, copy 5 files to something. So I can just move to whatever folder I want. I could go to systemcovers.net. I could go anywhere. I could go to the temp folder, anything I wanted to do, and then I can copy those files over. So, copy, rename, move, delete, basic file operations that you would want to do. Very easy and very at hand in Dired. But there's a lot more to it than that. There's many, many, many things that we can do. So we're going to try to dig into those and figure out some more. Munster Plop says there's a nice feature with Dired Dwim target that lets Dired guess a target based on displayed Dired buffers. So let's see. How about this? If I were to split this window, Control X 3, all right, and then if I move this Dired to, let's see, let's go to the to-do folder maybe. Or I'm going to use plus sign here. Watch this. Test. All right, so I created the folder called test. I'm going to enter that folder. Here, I've got these 5 files still marked. And it was what? Dired Dwim. Dwim? Oh, is that even... Maybe that's in Dired X. Still, Dired do. Maybe it will automatically figure it out. No, it doesn't. All right. Oh, you need to set Dired Dwim target to T. So do I actually have that? Come on now. Control HV, Control HV. There we go. Dired DW. Dired Dwim target. So DWIM stands for do what I mean. It's kind of a concept in Emacs where there are a number of these Dwim commands where basically it will try to infer what you mean when you run the command based on the current context that you're in. So right here, this says its value is nil. If non-nil, Dired tries to guess a default target directory. This means if there's a Dired buffer displayed in some window, use its current directory instead of this Dired buffer's current directory. So it will, if we have 2 Dired buffers open, it will allow you to move things between those two. So if you've ever used something like Midnight Commander, Norton Commander, or any of those like 2-pane file management tools, this could emulate that because you can just use Emacs' own window management commands like Control X2 to do a vertical split, and then excuse me, have two different folders open in Dired on both those panes, and then use this dwim to do that, to automatically figure out the right place to put the files when you want to do an operation like move. So let's see. You can customize it to prefer either the next window with a Dired buffer or the most recently used window with a Dired buffer. That could also be pretty useful, but if you use Dired single like I do, where you, well, that might work, that might not work. Anyway, point being, that could be harder to determine what the right behavior should be, because the way Dired manages buffers is a little bit weird. Well, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. So anyway, what I'll do is try to set that variable, setq Dired dwim target to t, because it's nil right now. We can tell by the help value. So now if I quit out of that, I go back into this test folder and then try to do the capital C again. Now it automatically defaults to content test. And if I press enter, it's going to move those over here. So it's very easy to move things back and forth between different folders if you need to, because you have the ability to just, capital C, press enter. Let's see, overwrite. Oh, I copied them. So let's, how about I just delete those, right? Delete 5 files. Yes. I'll go back over to the other window. Let's see, other window. What's the binding? Control X. Oh, okay. I'm too used to evil bindings as usual. Once again, capital R will then allow me to move those over to test if I want to. Then I can go back over to this buffer, mark all these, capital R, and then move them back to live streams. So already that is, I think, pretty useful. And Gunn makes a good point that it's even more powerful with Tramp across machines. So if you have Tramp set up and you connect to another machine via SSH using Tramp, then you could have a remote machine here where you have your directory listing here, and then you can be in your local machine on this side and then copy files over very easily like that. So that's a pretty nice bit of functionality there, I think. So Ashra says, how does Embark interact with Dired? I'm sure there are contextual actions that, that Embark can do, but I haven't actually used it. I think Embark would be pretty nice for Dired, to be honest. Dixon says, do you have any tutorial on C? I would love to make a tutorial on C, but I don't have one at the moment. If I do that, it might be over on the Flux Harmonic channel, but I don't know. We'll see. Flux Harmonic is kind of on hiatus at the moment because I had to start focusing on system crafters again. Chris says, also bookmarked directories. I don't really use bookmarks enough. I need to learn more about that. So let's see. Where's my mouse? There we are. Okay, so that is the DWIM, which is pretty nice. Let me go back into the show notes and put that thing in, because we definitely want to... Wow, look how big those code texts are. All right, so notes. Set... Or let's say setq Dired dwim target t to automatically pick the right target for copy and move operations, based on which another open Dired window. Pretty nice. Ashra says, from first glance, Embark plus Dired seems really nice. Yeah, I should probably cover that whenever I do a video on Embark, because Embark is pretty sweet. We should definitely cover that soon. I got too many things. I've got like scripts in progress for like 5, 6 different videos, and I just need to like pull the trigger and finish one at some point. Okay. So let's see, what else did I want to try? Okay, file marking using patterns. So that is pretty cool. Let me figure out how to do that, because I think it's a % sign. Let me unmark everything here. Is it % sign? No. Is it capital Q? All right, query replace regex in marked files. Is it replace? I don't want to do that. Dired. All right, let's take a look here. If anybody knows it, oh, is it %m? Eric says. Thank you, Eric. So there's %. So % seems to be a prefix here. Let's try that. Come on, get out of here. I don't know why the mini buffer wants to stick up. %. Can I do like a Control H here? percent control H. All right, cool. So what I just did is press percent and then control H to get this little buffer here that's showing me the different keys that are under percent. So Eric said that it's percent M, which is Dired mark files regex. So it basically allows you to give a string that could be a full regular expression, or it could just be a substring to mark any file that has that in there. So let's say I wanted to mark any file with, well, let's see. Let's say 2022. Maybe I want to get rid of all my 2022 notes. So if I press percent M and then 2022, it marks all files with 2022 in the name. So it's a very easy way to select all the files that you might be interested in. Can I move this? Where is the grabber? Where are you? Oh boy. Anyway, so you can see all the 2022s are marked, and I could also press T to get all the files that are not 2022 if I wanted to. So that's pretty nice. Capital U clears that. What else do we have here that might be interesting? Flag files. I don't know what flagging does, but we can look that up. Let's see, rename regex. So that might allow us to do a rename on files, copy regex. Let's take a look at that. So copy selected files whose names match regex to new name. Let me check this out. So I'm gonna go back to this test buffer, and then I'll use percent, what is it, R. I'll say 2022, press enter. Rename 2022 to, I don't know, press enter. Okay, so that's doing an actual regex replace. That might be trickier. So it doesn't actually let me move like I expected that it would. What if I go back to the help buffer? We can try copy, but it doesn't tell me that it will use the dwim target behavior. So percent capital C, copy 2022 to, I guess if I just type it in manually, it'd probably work. Flagging files marks them for deletion, Jeff says. Gun says Dired, grep, and mark. Does grep look in the file content? Does regex match the file name or the contents? Yes, it matches the file name for sure. Okay, so there must be another way to do that. What did I have in the show notes? I didn't have anything. All right, so I see some interesting chat happening over in the matrix, but I can't actually see the whole thing. So, what else? Let's go back to that bindings buffer. Do I have that? No. All right, so I will use percent control H again to pull that back up. I don't know if upcase is gonna like change everything. But we're not mirrored to matrix. Oh, you mean the IRC? The IRC is definitely mirrored to matrix, it's bridged. I saw something Ashra said. Flag files, mark file. Okay, mark files. That's the one we want. Is percent G. All right. Percent G. Mark files. Well, we did that, didn't we? Hold on. Mark files containing? Is that like a grep? Oh, let's undo that. I'm curious. Percent G. What if I say Dired? Did it mark anything? Can I tell? Oh, it did. Now that's interesting. I think this might have marked files that actually contain that word. Let's see what this July buffer has in it. Do I say Dired in here somewhere? Yes, I do say Dired in here. Okay, that's cool. So that's a really interesting way to manage the files, like percent G. Let me throw some things in there. In fact, how about I copy over? Yeah, kill it anyway. I don't want to change that. What if I copy all this? I'm gonna use Alt W. Bounce over here. Interesting bindings under percent. Okay, let's put this in a, I don't know, it's gonna be fun, shell block, just to make it be lined up correctly. Wow. Okay, but I don't care about like the hard link. Garbage files is interesting. We should look at that. Symlink, rel symlink, flagging files for deletion. That's useful. Mark files containing regex, downcase, upcase. I don't know why those are there. Rename, mark files, flag files, rename, do copy. Okay. So those are pretty useful. Wow, so much going on. Whoa, I almost clicked in stream. Great. Thano says, Dired Peep is pretty cool. It gives a Ranger-like feeling, but more Emacs-like. Okay. Drew says, this is the fun part of Emacs. At what point does finding the function become harder than writing the function yourself? That's a good question. Fade says, I have a little function that opens all files marked in Dired in separate buffers. That could be pretty useful too. I mean, like Dired might have quite a lot of uses that you might not have thought about. You know, if you use like find file a lot to navigate around the file system, maybe that's not super efficient for some reasons why you would use find file. Maybe you would want to use Dired instead, so you can do, you know, open multiple files all at once if you want to, based on a regex or something else. Let's see. Hello to Arnaud. Okay. Let's get back to it. So we figured that part out. That was pretty cool. Let me undo that one more time. So let's see, what else can we do? Might be cool to do this. If I say %G, what's something else we've talked about less often? What about Stallman? 0 files marked? That can't be true. I must have put Stallman's name in something. Crafted. Okay, 10 10 matching files marked. Cool. So that does work. And what can I do with any marked files? Dired dash. So I don't know what load means. What does Dired do load mean? Come on. Dired do load. Oh, is that loading Emacs Lisp files? Okay, so if you have a folder full of Emacs Lisp files that you only want to load some of them, you could do it this way, but I kind of feel like that's not a good way to load Emacs Lisp. You should just use your init.el file or some other function. Hello to Ramin. I apologize if I did not say your name correctly. Tim says, what about wdired? We will look at that for sure. Okay, Debreek says that Dired omit file mode is very useful. Let's take a look at that because I think I use it, but I don't remember what it's for. Dired omit files. Oh, okay. So you can omit files matching a particular regular expression. New sponsor. Did we see something? So let's see, file names matching this regex will not be displayed. Only has effect when Dired omit mode is T. Okay, so yes, I use that for hiding hidden files, like dot files. So let's say I went to, let's open Dired on my home folder. Got a lot of stuff in dot files here. If I use Dired omit mode, I think by default it hides, or it doesn't. What did it do? It hid the dot and dot dot entries. Omit. That's weird. But you could change that to hide all dot files. And that's something that I do in my Dired configuration for my own config. If I go take a look at that, let's see. pp.files, find file, what is it, core? Omit right there. Okay, so I use this Dired omit files regular expression to make it just omit any dot files. So if I were to evaluate that here, let's put a set Q on that. Okay, and now if I use omit files, Dired omit files, come on, omit mode, sorry, then any dot files in this folder get hidden. So that's just a way that I can kind of like, you look at a folder, all the actual files in a folder without all the dot files in it. And I bind that to like capital H in my config, I believe. So that's pretty useful. Hello to Emmanuel. Theo Peckley says, you can actually use Embark to mark files and act on all of them to open them in separate buffers. Yeah, you could. Well, can you do that in just find file, or can you do it in Dired? I wonder. Okay. So, what else? Maybe we should take a look really quickly at the Dired dash set of variables. Okay, it's not so many. I like this hands off my keys. I don't know what that means. Recursive deletes. That seems to be something for deleting directories recursively. So top means ask for each top level directory specified and then delete its subdirectories without asking. Okay, that seems like what you would want. You definitely don't want always to delete things recursively because you just delete your whole file system by accident. So that's something you might want to set, but maybe you don't need to because top is the default. What else? Control HV, Dired. I need a way to export this to a buffer. That's what Embark is really good for. Is there a way to do that in plain vanilla Emacs? That would be interesting. Dired subtree. Let's look at that too. Let's see. Completion list mode. Completion in region mode. Yeah, I don't know. Use a pager? I don't know. Maybe you're not talking to me. Hard to tell with the activity in Matrix going on right now. All right, so Dired dash. So we saw that dwim target before. Let's see, Dired buffers, chown program. Guest shell, header, face, free space program. This listing switches can be useful on other platforms, like let's say Mac OS, because the implementation of the ls command actually is what Dired is using to get all this information in this buffer. So it's actually calling out to ls. And if your ls implementation is different on your system, like if it's Mac OS or maybe it's like FreeBSD or something, you may have to provide different parameters, or you may just want to provide different parameters anyway. Do I actually do that? What was it called? Listing switches? Yeah, so I don't know. I have like some extra stuff here for grouping directories first, so that might be something you would want to try if you want to use Dired more heavily. It could be useful for sure. Spencer says Dired subtree is in Melpa. Okay, we might try that. Might not try that then. So what else did I have in my list that I wanted to cover? Let's see. Dired jump. That one's pretty simple. So if you are looking at a file. Let's just like back out of a lot of this stuff here. In fact, I can probably just close this window, and then go back here. So, we have our DWL config here. I just clicked it. I will make this the sole window, and then I'm going to use the Dired jump command, which I think is bound to Control X, Control J. Let's see, Control H, F, Dired jump. To tell me Control X, Control J. So if I use Control X, Control J, it will jump to the Dired buffer, but it will put me directly on the file that I'm currently in. So if you want to easily get to the file that you're in to do operations on that folder or things around it, you can do that with Dired jump. Just a quick little thing that is pretty useful. I use it quite often, actually. Dired jump is what I bind my super E command to, or key binding to, I think. If I go back to my configuration, SE, yeah, Dired jump. So I just want to like jump to the current folder that I'm in, whatever file that I'm working on. It can be pretty useful. Martin says maybe Exa, a Rust implementation of ls. I don't know if Exa has output that Dired can understand. Because I know that Exa does a lot of like coloration and maybe some different formatting, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that though. Okay. So, what else? What else? Image thumbnails. So someone tell me about this, because I think it's new in Emacs 29. I have a folder I can go to that has some image thumbnails, or some images in it. Let's go back to projects, sites, systemcrappers.net. What was it? Assets, image. All right, so I have some images here. I believe there is a way to show image previews. It might be a variable name. I'm not sure. I really need it like Vertigo in here. In fact, I could probably just set that up. Hold up. Okay, there we go. Vertigo mode, really? Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. So I'm looking for Dired image. Oh, I probably need orderless, don't I? I don't really want to deal with that right now. Let's do it because it just makes things a little bit easier. Orderless. Is it not in here? There we are. Where's the real file that it's in? That's the one. Just that. So I'll take this line, I'll jump back over to this config, I'll drop this in, set Q, oh, set Q's already on it, cool. Okay, so let's try that one more time. Dired image Dired. Okay, so show all from dir, image Dired. Show thumbnails for directory. Executable image, thumbnail program not found. That's great. All right, so image Dired seems to be the place if you have a program that can make it possible to show them. So let's see, image Dired program probably needs something. Wait, hold on. Image Dired image magic. Will says maybe you're right. There's a few different ones here. Value is nil. What can we see about that in the info? Can I do like info apropos? Image Dired. Is it in info? I wonder. There we go. Image Dired. Control TD. Mark the image files you want to look at in the Dired buffer using im as usual, then press Control TD. Image Dired display thumbs. Okay, so tell me what I need for an image viewer. So it needs something called JPEG Tran, which is only for rotation. Was there other stuff for that? Yeah, we should dig in here anyway, I think. I've been sort of going just based on what's in the function lists and variable lists, but I think we should probably go into the info file and see what else we can find in here. So let's see what the Dired info file has to say about itself. Then we'll see what we can find. So Theopecally says, image magic or graphics magic, you can open the source of the image Dired and check the comments at the top. Okay, cool. How about that? Find-library, image Dired. This should be explained in the info manual. Graphics magic or image magic package. GM or convert and mogrify. All right. So does it find it on its own? I wonder if I were to go into Geeks and install those, would it work? Geeks install image magic. Is that gonna work? Okay. Let's see what this does. Conv. No. Mogrify. There we are. That one's there. Convert. Okay, that's there too. Cool. Let me go back and try that again. So let's go back to the, whoa, image buffer. Whoa, I'm pressing the wrong key bindings. All right. So what was it? I marked some files and I pressed Control T D. Whoa, that's not right. Emacs Dired. Okay, it didn't complain this time, but it's also not doing anything. Okay, so I can click on it and it opens it up, but that's not what it's supposed to do, I think. Huh, that's not thumbnails. I wonder if I have to restart Emacs to make that work. Image, Dired. So let's see, once again. Does it tell me what variable I might need to change? Do I have to compile Emacs with ImageMagick support? Maybe. I don't think so, because it acts like these are command line tools being used. Control HR to open the manual and go to the node thumbnails by typing G image Dired. Control HR, G. Ooh. Okay. I need to learn info mode better, for sure. Amalveja says, is there not a way to have the thumbnails pop up next to the file name in the Dired buffer itself? I thought I remember seeing something at some point. Maybe. Let's see. So, let's see. Thumbnails. Come on now. Thumbnails. Mogrify. Okay, so this needs to be executed again, I think. Or not. Command rotate. I don't want rotate. I want convert. Temp image. If it finds GM, it uses that. Otherwise, it uses convert. And then what is this value? Convert. But it says no longer used in 29.1. I wonder what is used instead. Image program. So where's all the new 29 stuff? 29.1. Is this stuff may have all changed? Okay, here we go. Command rotate thumbnail program. All right. I think we found it. Version 29.1. So it looks like it should be picking up the stuff that I put in. Will says $5 on restarting Emacs Works. I think you're right. I mean, the only reason why I don't do it is because I have to go set a couple things up again that I don't want to do. All right. Oh boy, let's do this. Ah, come on. I keep pressing escape, expecting evil mode to work. All right, so Dired config.el. What do I want to do here? Require vertico mode 1. I just need to have this stuff turned on. Require orderless. And what was that variable that I set before? If I go back here, completion styles orderless. All right, we're just going to grab that real quick and then dump that in here as well. Okay, and we need to load the theme too. So load dash theme, Tango dark, true, right? Yeah. Okay. Wow. What did I just do? And if I load this back up, then it should be fine. So I think if I pop out, I think I was in vterm for this. Okay, and then -L Dired config. Let's see if that works. Okay, I think we're good. Cool. Now let's go back to that folder. So I'm gonna go back to there. Let me jump up to assets, image. Now let's use, so what did it say in the, well, I guess the info manual is closed now, but it told us that we could use, let's use Control HK and use Control T, or in fact, Control T, Control H. So Control T apparently is the image Dired prefix inside of Dired buffers. There's a display external that you can use, display image, display thumbs, Control TD. Let's try that, Control TD. Ah, okay, that worked. It was only for the file under the cursor. If I mark all files, how do I do that? Exclamation point? No. Dired mark all. What was that noise?
Thanks for the support, Ben Standifer.
Ah, thank you. Is that from, yeah, okay. That's the first time I've heard the Ko-fi thing hit. Thank you very much, Ben Standifer. I appreciate it. Star T, Will says, thank you. Star T, cool. Control C, no, sorry. Control TD. There we go. That thumbnail looks fantastic. It's just like fully 1990s embossed border graphical style here. It's great. It really takes me back. Tim says, have you tried turning it on and off again? Yes, that's what we did, and it worked actually. And let's see, yes, okay. Now add a marquee tag. I hope there is not such a thing in Emacs. That would be terrible. All right, so that did actually show us thumbnails. Can we do thumbnails in buffer, or does that not work? Let's check a look at that. Control T, Control H again. There's a display thumb, display thumbs append. So what about Control T period? Nah, just the current one. Whoops, Control T period. I don't know what's different about that. Mark tagged files. You can tag files for some reason. I don't know exactly what that means. Tag marked files in Dired. And this is in the image Dired library for some reason. Ashra says, nah, but it's in the 90s HTML. Yes, of course it's there. I wonder if EWW will show that. Gunn says you can get file type specific icons next to the listing. Is that only with Dired all the icons? Let's see. Display thumbs, comment files. What's that about? Add a comment to the current or marked files. It really seems like they're adding some extra stuff, but maybe what this is for actually is for managing your personal image galleries. Like let's say, let's try this. Let's see what it does. I'm gonna unmark all these. We're on the logo here. So what was that one again? Tag files, Control TT, Control TT. Tags to add logo, system crafters. Okay, so apparently it has its own database file where for all of the files you have in a given, or maybe it's all of your images, period, that you have, you can tag them however you like, and maybe there's ways to query them. So image, Dired, tag files, mark tagged files, tag thumbnail, remove, edit, comment, and tags. Let's try that. Control TE. Interesting. So you can add a comment on an image. You can add tags to the image. Okay. Still trying to figure out like how this is useful. Tag files. Tag marked files. Okay, fine. What else? Image, Dired. Write tags, remove tag. Oh, come on now. I need to load up Embark. Will says, I've started using the denote file name scheme for my images directories, and date plus title plus keywords is more than sufficient for my purposes. Yeah, I really like the denote file naming scheme, even though it's kind of verbose and not very pretty to look at. It's so functional. It's amazing. I really like it a lot. Prot did a really good job with the design of denote, I think. I'm gonna do some more stuff on Denote because I think it's got some unique qualities that are useful. Okay, so mark tagged files. Control T, F. So if I search for any files with system crafters, it will tag them. All right, I don't know. I mean, this could be useful for someone. Maybe you have like all of the photographs of your family that you pulled off your phone and you want to build a database with all the information so that you can easily kind of categorize them. But still, I don't see like a whole lot of value yet. It would be nice if there was a function that you could use to get all of them to do something with it. Tag thumbnail. List tags. Read all tags for image file. Okay, well, that's fine. Shabash says, speaking of Prot, have you seen what he's been doing? Yes, he's building a hut, right? It's pretty cool. But, you know, it's not necessarily the greatest circumstance for building a hut. Ashra says, what happened to my last message? All of it got replaced by an emoji. Is that right? Or are you just joking? Okay, so can Dired edit the EXIF data? I don't know. There probably isn't any EXIF data on PNGs. Dired EXIF. Image Dired copy with EXIF file name. Whoa. Okay, interesting. What? Okay, interesting. What Ashra is saying here. All right, that's enough, I think, as far as like looking at images stuff is concerned. I mean, we see that there's a way to show thumbnails. It's not exactly what you expect to see, I think. What else we have? Image, Dired, preview or display. Display this, display thumbs, display image, Control T, I. Okay, so just can display it for you, but you can do the same thing by pressing enter, right? Okay, just it goes into a buffer. It's not the same thing. Control T, I. All right, so you can kind of look at them individually in another window. That's fine. I mean, that makes sense. I don't have a problem with that. So anyway, image Dired can be useful if you do a lot of image classification or viewing in Emacs. I personally don't. Occasionally, I will open an image, like if I'm working on a project and I need to look at like one of these images for the website, I'll open it in Emacs like this, but I really don't, spend a lot of time using Emacs for image tasks. I keep pressing escape, I swear to God. Turn Dired into slideshow mode with shuffle. There must be a way to automatically preview each image that you're moving between in there. I'm guessing that the Dervish package will do all those sorts of things. All right. So, next, what else did I have in the list? Cleaning up folders. So if you have a lot of autosave or backup files that get created by Emacs, which has been happening to me lately because somehow I broke my configuration in a way that it causes them to get created quite often. Let me see, do I have any in this folder? Let's go change this file and save it. Okay, it's not happening here. Backup. Let's see. Why are backups working right on this machine and not the other? Backup? If non-nil, backups will be inhibited. All right. Make backup files T. So that's turned on. The first time it's saved. Non-nil make a backup of the file the first time it's saved. This can be done by renaming the file or by copying. Renaming means that Emacs renames the existing file. It's probably getting put in the correct location. So if I were to go, I don't know. Is it, come on now. Actually, if I save the file in this one, it should do it because this stuff is all set up the default way. Let's do that instead. We're going to go into, let's go to publish.el. Let's just change the line here, save it, then go back into, or else use Control X, Control J for Dired jump. Did it create one? It didn't create one. That's really weird. Backup. Backup, make backup, is that what it was? I don't know why it's not actually working. Anyway, the point is that Emacs will create a bunch of files with a tilde at the end of the name. So if you press the tilde key on the keyboard, it will flag all of the backup files in the current folders. So if you actually like the backup functionality in Emacs and you let it put backup files in your folders directly, which I don't do, I ship them off to another folder usually, then you can use Dired and hit this tilde, and it will mark all of the backup files in the current folder, and then you can use like, you know, X, or what is it? No, not X. Not that either. Is it D? Control HK, capital D. That's it, capital D to delete all of them if you want to. So that's kind of nice. Will says, please also discuss Dired toggle read only. Well, let me figure out what that is because I don't actually know. Dired toggle read only. Edit, oh, okay. Edit Dired buffer with wdired or make it read only. If the current buffer can be edited with wdired, call wdired, change to wdired mode. Otherwise, toggle read only mode. Now, why would this be needed? I don't understand. Mark says, did the Dired buffer refresh? I pressed G and it had the same contents. So, why is it read only or wdired? I don't understand why that would be conflated. Let's see, Control HK, capital Q. That's not the one. So let me check out, yeah, wdired mode, wdired. Change wdired mode. So it doesn't have its own binding, it seems. I thought it did. I thought it was capital Q. So that's do, find, regex, and replace. Replace matches of from to to in all marked files. So that's like find and replace in the files of this current folder or marked files list, I guess. I know about the renaming files interactively, but the thing that's weird to me is the read-only mode. I don't know why it turns it to read-only mode otherwise. So anyway, let's go and check this out because it's super interesting. I want to do it in a way that won't break the current show notes, but let's pull up Dired. Let's go back to the live streams folder. Okay, so you see there's a bunch of files here, right? Perfect folder for experimentation. Control X, Control Q will put this folder, no, Control X, Control Q, will put this into a mode called wdired. And what this allows you to do is use normal text editing commands to rename files. So, and obviously you could say April test, and then what is it, Control X, Control Q again to save it? Yeah, so buffer live streams modified save changes. If I press Y, then it actually renames that file. So that's not very interesting because that was just one file. But you can use the query search and replace functionality in Emacs to do broad changes to all your files or renames to all your files, which is pretty awesome. Is it Control C, Control C? Does that also work? Let's try that too. So I'm gonna go back and edit this one. In fact, I can just use capital R. No, I don't wanna do that. Let's use Control X, Control Q. Then I'm just going to take this test out that I had put here, and then Control C, Control C. Okay, so Control C, Control C is the way to do that. Great. So now let's use Control X, Control Q. I'm going to change everything named April using the %sign. Oh, does it not work here? What is it called? Query replace. Okay, here it's meta %sign. That's probably the way it's supposed to be called in general. All right, so query replace. I'm going to change April And you can see that the regex replace is actually finding all those. I'm gonna replace that with hello. And then now it goes into search and replace mode where I could say why, or I could just press exclamation point to make all of them be replaced. But to activate that change, to make it actually save those files, you have to press Control-C to rename them. So now all those files that started with April have hello. Super useful because you can use a full regular expression to find certain things. Like if I wanted to find all of the files that were on, let's say the 26th, I could do, let me undo what I did first before we get too far into it. Control-X, Control-Q. I'm gonna use meta %. I'll reverse what I did before. Hello to April, exclamation point. Oh, I gotta be up here to do that. Exclamation point, Control-C. Now those are back to be renamed. I'm gonna try to find all the files with 20 in them. So let's try that instead. Control-X, Control-Q, query replace, that's Alt %. Then -20, dash. So anything with 20 in there. I'll say dash hello, I don't know, whatever. And then exclamation point to activate those changes, Control-C, and now we have all those files with that date inside. So there's a few of them in here. I see you, 1, 2, maybe 4, huh? So that's pretty useful. So that was Control-X, Control-Q, then use Alt %, or meta % to do the query replace, whatever the name is. Ashras says, small edit, query replace is not regex based. That would be query replace regex. Thank you, Ashras, for clarifying that. So I'm just doing substring replace at the moment, it seems. So dash hello, I'm just gonna reverse this back to -20 and then save all those. Let me go back into, okay, yeah, so I think we're good. I went back into Magit and then all my files are back the way they are, except for this one that obviously has been changed for legitimate reasons. I'll get rid of that one too. Okay. So also for regex replace, is that useful? Let's say, let's try it. I'm kind of curious. Can I do like back quoting? This is going to be more dangerous, but I think I can revert the changes. So Control-X, Control-Q, Control-Alt, %. This is for regexes. -2, and then what is the, is it just like dot? Oh, and then hash. Okay, that works. So now I'm getting anything that starts with a 2 inside of like the hyphens, right? Because that dot in a regular expression just says any character. So can I do this? 3, I don't know if it's like //1. Let's see what it does, and I could probably revert that. I'm trying to pull the match for this right here into the replace. No, that didn't work. So I'm gonna abort this by using question mark and say, let's see, undo all replacements. So capital U, whoa, I lost it. I don't have a group, you need parentheses. Thank you to Gun and to Ashraz for reminding me about that. All right, we're still in editable mode. You can see that in the mode line here. So I'll just try that one more time. And I'll pull this back up again, but I want to change this. The slashes aren't right though, I think. Are they? Maybe it's only 1 slash. Let's try that. Replace 0 occurrences. That can't be right. So it didn't find them. I must be doing the capture group wrong, right? Jeff says, maybe you want to capitalize all file names beginning with the letter A. A regex could be useful as one solution. Yeah. Ashraz also says you can remove 20 from all the years. That is true. You could easily chop that 20 off all the year dates. True. Let me try this one more time. Is there special syntax in Emacs for regular expressions for that? Come on. I don't want to escape. Regex builder. So what was it? G? Control H, what? E? No, Control H, R. What was it? Regular expression, regex. Okay. You need a single one backslash for parentheses and also a single backslash before the one. Backslash parentheses. Thank you. Okay, that's what I thought. But I obviously did that wrong. Okay, grouping. Cool. Let's go back and try that one more time. So that's Control Alt %sign. I'm gonna use meta P to pull back this one, put that back in. Okay, so it does actually match those again. Dot slash and /1. Let's try that now. So I'm gonna say yes to this one. So that's making it 31, 33, 38. Cool, so that is working. So basically you can use a regular expression to match files in the buffer and then take a part of the name of that file and then use it into some other change that you're trying to make. Like for instance, if I wanted to like take the date, the year of the date and put it on the front of the file name, we could actually do that. But yeah, let me use capital U to undo all the changes and then cancel it. Let's try that. That might be interesting actually. So this time we're going to say dash 2023, but before we do that, we are going to put slashes on this, and this also needs to be, well, ... is probably not the right way to do this. And I think that we would have seen that show up, wouldn't we? Wait, hold on. Did I press the wrong keys? Yeah, I think I didn't do regex, did I? There we go. Oh, that's not it. What is the numeric character class? Allnum. I don't like that. Oh, 0 through 9? Okay. That works. Digit? Thank you. Okay, cool. Let's do that one more time. And then we'll move on to something else. All right, so slash, open parentheses. I think it's digit. Now, can I say, I need to have like 4 of them, right? 4? That can't be right, right? How do you do numbered? Yeah, I don't want that. Colon. Yeah, I got that. There's got to be a way to excuse me, to restrict a specific number, isn't there? Like, could it be that? No. Oh, okay. So is that right here? For thank you, gun. All right, so that's the right one. So this is going to create a capture group around the year. Okay. The question is, though, it needs to capture the whole file as a group. Or actually the things that came before in the file as a group. So dot star, that needs to be one group. Slash. All right, so there's one group that goes up to the dash. And then there's another group. This is kind of messy. But that's what we get with regular expressions. So now I'm going to replace that with hash or /2 dash /1.org. Actually, let's do this. Okay, let's see if this works. I'm going to say yes. Hey, it worked. Cool. So that's a pretty freaky one, but it works. So we can just move that year to the beginning of the file name on all of these. Maybe there's a better way to do that in Emacs. I don't know, maybe there's like another command you can use to just rename all files using a particular regular expression, but at least you could do that inside of a Dired buffer if you want to. So I'll copy that regular expression over to the show notes just now so that people can see it, because that's a little bit harder to wrap your brain around, I think. I'll do capital U to undo all those changes. And then I can use Control C, I think, to just get back out. And it says no changes to be performed. Mark says, this is where I give up and create a macro instead of move the year. That's a good point. I should figure out macros because I haven't actually used those very much. Why not use rectangular mode? I don't know. All right, so I'll copy, where is it? Oh, it won't let me? Okay, fine. Let's get this godforsaken regular expression over here into the show notes. So renaming files with a regular expression. Control X, Control Q. Then Control meta %. Enter a regular expression like, that looks fantastic in my font face configuration. Why not rectangular mode? Because all your years are not starting on the same column. That's a good point. Yeah, for sure. And Chris also says rect mode probably won't work because all the months aren't the same length. Yes. Macro would be easiest, but I'm not going to waste your time trying to figure out macros right now because that's not the point of the stream. All right, so what else have we got here? Let's see. Running shell commands on files. I mean, that's not super interesting, but sure, we could do that. What? Do I have any program for viewing images? Let's see. If I go back to the... Oh. No. All right, so let's go back to the assets folder, to image. So I think it's exclamation point, right? So I want to run something on this this file. I can use FEH. Okay, so that does actually load FEH, whatever you want to say the name of this program is. It's an image viewer that's pretty common on Linux. So I'm just using exclamation point to shell out to another program for this file. I can say FEH again. You can do whatever you want. Oh, it's actually doing it for the marked file. Let me do it for favicon. Okay. What if I do it for 4 marked files? Is that gonna run it 4 times? I guess it probably will. Yeah, 4 files, FEH. Okay, so I've got 4 instances, or I think I had 4 instances of feh pop up here. Area, yeah, okay. But that's not asynchronous. Ampersand should do asynchronous, I think, right? I'll do the same thing with feh. All right, cool. So it popped up 4 different instances. So if you want to like open multiple files on an external program all at once, then you can use ampersand, and it will just launch all those. So now I've got all those 4 opened up with FEH, feh, whatever it is. And then, yeah, any other program that you can pass a file into, you can use exclamation point or ampersand to launch it in there. So that could be pretty useful. Tim says, you mean a keyboard macro, not a Lisp macro? Yes, those who are talking in the chat about macros right now, they actually do mean keyboard macro. And in Emacs, a keyboard macro can actually be defined as code. So it's basically like a sequence of Emacs commands, which can be pretty useful actually, but I haven't really used them, so I don't have a whole lot of experience. But the idea would basically be make a macro that would use Emacs commands in sequence to get to the exact location you want to get to on a particular line to do a particular operation. So you could do something like, what is it, like Control A to jump to the beginning of the line for any line that you're on, and then Control S to find .png or something. I don't know. Like you could have any of those things be in sequence. Chris says, okay, keyboard macro sounds like more of those programmable keyboards. Yeah, it does, but there's, I don't know if Emacs calls them keyboard macros. Let's see. So Emacs keyboard macro. Okay, they do call it a keyboard macro. So you can record a sequence of editing commands. So it's not that you're recording keys, you're recording actual commands. It is a command defined by Emacs user to stand for another sequence of keys. Well, it's contradicting me and itself. You define a keyboard macro by executing and recording the commands, which are its definition. Put differently, as you define a keyboard macro, the definition is being executed for the first time. This way you can see the effects of your commands so that you don't have to figure them out in your head. So basically they're saying you record a macro, you press the commands you want to do so that you can visually see what the macro is going to do, and then you can replay that macro on any other lines of the file. And Ashra says, press F3 and you will see recording keyboard macro. Let's see. F3. Whoops. What did I just do? F3. Defining keyboard macro. So Control E. 1, 2, 3. And then how do I stop the macro process? F3 again? Maybe. And then Gun says ampersand A executes. Oh, that's an evil maps. F4. What about if I do this? Okay, yeah, that works. Because what it did is it went to the end of the line and then basically arrowed backwards by 3 keys. So I can press 4 now and it will do that. The other useful thing is if you basically set it up so that it will go to the next line for you. So you can just spam the F4 key to replicate the same action on each line. So let's say I did that again. I'll say F3. I won't say it, I'll press it, obviously. Then Control E, left, 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 then Control N, then F3, right? Now if I press F4, F4, oh, it puts it here. That's weird. Huh, that's not what I intended. Oh, because Dired with Control N did that. Okay, so Control N will move the cursor to the front. That's kind of interesting. What if I go here and press Control N? All right. Dired file, let's see. I wanted to put the cursor right on the file name. There must be a function for that. Well, let's take a look at what Control N does. Well, no, Control HK, Control N. Dired next line. Let's take a look at Dired next line. What does it say? Oh, Dired move to file name. How about that? Is that bound to anything? Doesn't look like it. Dired move. No, it's not bound to anything. But you could run that command yourself. In fact, I wonder if that works. Hey, let's close that. Go back. Let's go back to the live. Oh, come on. Live streams folder. Here we go. MetaX Dired move to. Wow. I have to eval that. Dired move to file name. Okay, that might not work very well. You can edit the recorded keyboard macro with Control X, Control K, Control E. Cool. I didn't mean for this to turn into a keyboard macro session, but hey, why not? Let's try this. I'm gonna press F3 to record a macro. I'm gonna use eval to run Dired move to file name. I'm gonna press F3 again. Now let's press F4. Hey, it actually worked. I think it remembers what you do. So even if you're like using MetaX to launch to eval expressions, it might do it. So let me use Control X, Control K, Control E. So this is the macro that we recorded. The macro is eval expression, and I'm guessing it must remember what the expression was. Previous line, Dired find file. Are these different expressions? Different macros? Anyway, that's weird. Anyway, James says you can switch to WDired. Yes, we were doing that just before. Sorry, this stupid mic stand is squeaking. All right, what else did I have on the list? of things to investigate. Bulk rename files with Q. That's not actually renaming files. I think it's renaming file contents, isn't it? We could try that, see what happens. What could it be? What could we say we can change in all these files? If I were to go, well, let's just say capital Q. Oh, it's the same thing. All right, so if I do this, it might launch it across all files. I don't really want it to do that, because it might cause me some trouble here. Can I use a previous one? Wow. Let's do that. Let's press enter. Didn't do it. Is that needed inside of WDRED mode? This is DRED, do, find, regex, and replace. Replace matches of from to in all marked files. Okay, marked files. Fundraiser for WD-40 and proper lubricant for microphone stand. Well, I have some WD-40, but it's going to smell like, well, something unmentionable. This is about content, no file name. That's what I thought, but I'm not sure what's happening, actually. In marked files. Yeah, that's what I would think. So how about mastering? Replace mastering with breakening. Breakening. No matches for mastering. There's definitely mentions of mastering Emacs in all of these files. So, or not all, some of these files. Switching to WDRED does not jump you to the beginning of the file name. No. Ashraz says, the content for the next newsletter will be, hey folks, as you probably saw in the last stream, I managed to replace all my system files with my show notes. Yes, that might happen. So Chris says you had no file marked. Good point. What about April? I must have mentioned mastering Emacs in April, did I? Probably not. Then it had to be in February. There we go, mastering Emacs in February. So I'm just gonna mark the few files here. Let's do that. And then capital Q. Okay, so it actually does it. So you can mark certain files and then do a regex replace on those. And I think that is the same thing. You can use yes to affect the changes. It's giving me the results, but it's not showing me that the update is here. So I don't know exactly what's happening with that. And I probably have to save all those. So if I go back to my Magit buffer, I think I ought to see that in this February file here at least. So breaking Emacs, okay. We'll undo that. Cool. The next thing was, I think I want to look at DRED X because I don't actually know what's in there. Laurent says, what is a file system and a file path? A directory. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. Find, come on. Find library, DRED X. What is DRED X? Sounds pretty extreme. Okay, please see DRED X info manual. So info, hey. Here we are. It stands for DRED Extra. Omitting files. I think we saw that already, didn't we? DRED omit mode comes from DRED X. Gun says DRED for adults. That sounds bad. Okay, omit mode. Cool. We saw that. Let me pop back up to the top here. There must be a better key for this. Virtual DRED. That's kind of interesting. It means putting a buffer with DRED-like contents in DRED mode. The files described by the buffer contents need not actually exist. Why would you want to do that? It's useful if you want to peruse an LSLR output file, for example, one you got from an FTP server. You can use all motion commands usually available in DRED. So basically, if you copy a file listing from a server, you can use virtual DRED to do operations on the listing that doesn't actually exist. Put the current buffer into visual DRED mode. Huh. I wonder what that's used for. There's so many like applications of stuff in Emacs that are they probably had a usefulness 20 years ago, but now the usefulness is not very clear. Whoops, I didn't want to get out of info yet. Okay, so cool. Advanced mark commands. We might have seen some of these. Mark extension. Mark all files with a certain extension for use in later commands. That's cool. So basically, if you want to mark all PDF files, PNG files, etc. Mark suffix. Mark all files with a certain suffix. I mean, these are just like wrappers probably on the mark functions that use a regular expression, I would guess. Dired flag extension. That's also a flag by regex using extension. Advanced cleaning functions. Clean text. Flag dispensable files created by text or tech latex and text info or tech info for deletion. So if you use text info, tech info, however you're supposed to pronounce that, then maybe you can clean up some unneeded files. Dired clean patch, so like patch files, I guess. That makes sense. Go back to info. What else? Cleaning variables, special marking function, meta parenthesis, left parenthesis, mark files for which the predicate return is non-nil. Dired mark S expression. Oh, So you can put in an S expression to mark files that match it. LaTeX. LaTeX, is that it? LaTeX? I thought it was LaTeX. Okay, so meta paren lets you do an S expression. There's a file starts, the file prefix starts. I guess it was just a string, right? I'm kind of curious what that actually does. So meta paren, mark if, Lisp expression. Where are the... Let's go back here. Or refer to the following symbols. Oh, okay. So it gives you these symbols to use. So all of these things are in the scope of the expression that you write. So I can use the name of the file. That's cool. So then I can use normal string commands. I must have hit a sorting. Oh, okay. There we go. Starts with string prefix P. Okay. String prefix P, prefix string. Cool. Let's try that. So I'm going to use meta left parenthesis. I'll say starts with, is on a string prefix, right? Can't remember even what I said. String prefix dash P, December name. And it worked. So you can use any arbitrary S expression or Emacs Lisp expression to do marking. So that's nice. Like Greek he, according to DEK. Okay. I see Knight HK saying in the Matrix that how much better Dervish is out of the box. Yeah, that's the point, though, because it's supposed to be more full-featured. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. We're just kind of cruising through the info a little bit to see what else is in there. Okay, so let's go up. Up again. Multiple Dired directories. This is the last one we'll look at in the info manual. I think this is what I think it is. Emacs buffer can have but one working directory stored in the buffer local variable. A Dired buffer may have several subdirectories inserted, but it still has only one working directory. So there's a way to insert another directory into your Dired buffer. I haven't really used it very much, but it might be useful for digging into files. Knight HK says, I'm famous. Yes, well, you know, that's what happens when you say something that I read. Your name will be immortalized in this stream that maybe 200 people will watch the recording of. Anyway, where am I going? Live streams? I've totally lost my train of thought now. Okay, inserting subdirectories. Right, okay, let's go here. Fact folder has those two things in it. Dired insert. Dired insert subdir. So I'm on this fact folder. If I press that, it inserts that also. And you can even operate on these files just as if you would do it any other file here. So if you want to like do operations across multiple folders, I think even things like wdired ought to work across all of them. So all the folders that are present in this buffer, which is kind of cool. Same thing for news or newsletter, potentially. I could use dired insert subdir, and it adds another one there too. So it's kind of useful if you want to do multiple folder operations, I think. Sully says, hey, you never know. Historians might study these streams 300 years into the future. Well, Emacs will probably be around then, so they might have to. Who knows? Gun says, is that add directory like KP plus? I don't know. Okay, so now that we went through all that stuff, which I'm sorry, I'm not going to write it all down in the show notes. If anybody like maybe Summer Emacs wants to like give some notes to put in the show notes, I would be happy to have that, but I can't go do that. So anyway, let's take a look at a different thing. Now, there's a package called Dervish, Emacs Dervish. And a few people brought this up to me before the stream because they saw us talking about Dired. So this is effectively a much, much prettier customization of Dired. It's kind of like batteries included, effectively. It looks kind of nice. We're going to see how good it looks in a very vanilla Emacs configuration, though, just to see what it does. So let me check. I hope this works. Let me check installation. I'm guessing it's just package install. Okay, we need maybe some tools. No, they don't give me a geeks suggestion here. Maybe I have these things installed. Who knows? All right, so I'm just going to install Dervish. In fact, I can use package install. We'll see. No, it's in Melpa, so I'm going to have to put Melpa in. I think I have a little snippet for that in this publish file, Melpa. Here it is. Let's just go eval this in this Emacs session. Hey, that's not right. Come on. There we are. Now, package refresh contents. Need to do that. Taking its time, making some coffee, whatever it's doing. All right, package install Dervish. There we go. Let's see what it does. It's not on Alpha. You ought to know that by now. All right. So I think there is a, what was it? Dervish override Dired mode. You can evaluate this to basically hook into Dired and let it take over Dired, or you can just run the Dervish command directly, I think. So let's try that. Dervish. G? No. Okay, let's actually execute the thing that it said I should do first. All right, here we are. So that looks pretty good to start with. So we have a file tree like viewer, it seems. I can click around probably to go to different places. Maybe, maybe not. Has some kind of nice breadcrumb trail here. Maybe that's where I'm supposed to be clicking. All right, so that works. If I arrow around, I think it previews these files. So that could be useful. If you use left and right arrow, does it do anything? No. H? No. I need to see if they have any, let's see, key bindings. I like how it changed the mode line height here. Let's see. Customizing. Oh, there's the beginner's guide. Let me go jump on that. where? Prerequisites. I want the key bindings. Hard link? No, I don't want to do that. So left and right don't seem to do anything. Is it just the normal keys? Okay, so apparently the normal Dired keys somewhat still apply because the caret will go up in the folder path. I think J, no, that's go to file. I just press enter to go on the files that I want to enter. So I can go to assets. Let's see if the images will show previews. Okay, cool. So you can just go look at your image previews that way too, just by arrowing through. That probably works right now because I have Image Magic installed. So I'm guessing that's why it does happen to work. It seems that with other programs installed, you would be able to get thumbnails for videos too if you have a videos folder. I don't know if I have anything on this machine. I might have the videos folder with some system crap or stuff. It probably won't work. Let's see. If I go to hello, videos, let's see. Okay, it's not giving me any previews of these. That's fine. Whatever. Is there anything else that it can tell me? Customizing comparison. What about that? Handle most of the file exploring tasks. Oh, okay. So there's also a Dervish side where you can pull up a file tree on the side. So if you are used to things like Emacs, maybe this can be a replacement for that. Doesn't like tab opens and closes these. I wonder how that's supposed to work. I'm not necessarily the type who prefers having that file viewer open. I've kind of gotten used to that over the years to not have it. There's discussion of how it's different than Ranger.el. Ranger.el is also pretty sweet. Gunn says, what happens when you scroll across your MP3s? They probably don't start playing. I hope not. Dired hacks. There's a Dired Ranger package, which I actually do use. Yankin Move does similar things to Ranger Move Paste. Okay, so Knight HK says, look at Dervish Dispatch. Dervish Dispatch. Cool, so it's got a transient menu that you can use to get to a bunch of stuff that you might want to use. Version control system, manage subtrees, sort current buffer, quick access. What does A do? Okay, so like certain paths you might want to get to quickly. Okay, cool. Makes sense. This might be a useful document, this comparison.org file, if you already use some of these things. You want to see how Dervish kind of replaces the functionality. Extensions. Let's see, what else? Group files with custom filter stack. So that is kind of a nice looking thing here. If you have like this set of groups that can be collapsed, so the different types of files get grouped together. Is that something that is by default? Dervish emerge mode. Okay, let's go back to Dervish. Dervish emerge mode. That might break it. I don't know. Okay, it didn't do anything. Mini buffer file preview. Call all available VC commands. So $V, it says, $V. VC create repo is not defined. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Whoops. Don't do that. I don't know why I opened two of these. Control X 0. Thank you. $V. What else? Yank marked files. View mode. H for commands. I have no idea what this is. This is the thing about these like more complicated packages, is that sometimes it's even harder to understand the right way to use them. And I don't see like a really clear tutorial about how to use this. Of course, obviously, I'm just like trying really fast to set it up and use it. But people who have more time might have a better luck. But still, I think that it should be on any README of a project. There should be a clear path for a person to install a package and to just get like the basic functionality figured out. And I'm not seeing that here, that's fine. It's not a problem. It's just it's a problem for me right now. Customizing. Parakovsky says, yeah, I think it's just too much graphics. Maybe. Knight HK says, he's doing it wrong. Make him do it right. Well, someone should like write some documentation so I can do it right. Grab the sample config. That might help. Quick access entries. That's fine. You can customize a mode line format. I'm guessing these are... Chris says, same, tried it a few hours ago when people mentioned it on IRC. A bit of a bummer not finding key bindings or a tutorial. Oh, Summer said that. Okay, fine. People are having a lot of fun in the Matrix chat. I'm not watching the chat. I just see like notification bubbles keep popping up the whole time. And it's like painting over the YouTube chat. So those of you who are on YouTube, the Matrix people are just like stepping all over you right now. Anyway, Knight HK says, I actually 100% agree. Okay, cool. Glad we're all on the same page. My Uber will be there in 10 minutes. What are we doing now? I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to go downstairs and eat some food and then go to sleep. I'm not going in an Uber. Okay. Mouse drag files. Oh, Emacs 29 stuff. Cool, whatever. So this might be useful as a way to figure out what stuff is possible. Anyway, I think it's interesting. Like, it looks good. I'll say that. It looks good. I have used Emacs Dired Ranger before. Not actually Dired Ranger this. I've used, was it Ranger.el? Come on, Ranger.el. Is this it? Okay, maybe that's it. This is kind of similar because it has that multi-pane view that's sort of like a customization on Dired. But this one made more sense to me, but I think it's because it uses evil key bindings out of the box, or at least in my experience, that's what happened. And if you've used the program Ranger on terminal before, this one is more like that. So I had more luck using this in the past, but then I stopped using it because I wanted to use actual Dired and not use some other kind of like ultra customized Dired view. I felt like it was maybe better just to use Dired itself. So I've been using normal Dired for a long time. And it's fine. It's good enough. Like if you want some fancy looking stuff, sure, definitely use Ranger.el or Dervish because it looks cool. But for me, like I think simplicity and being able to get right to the functionality that I want without having to dig through a bunch of other layers of user interface is kind of more important, at least at this stage. I mean, I'm 40 years old for God's sake, so I guess that my priorities have changed. Glenn says, eye candy instead of productivity boost. Well, there probably is a productivity boost too, if you know how to use it correctly. It's just, you have to learn it. Kyle says, first thing I did in Matrix was to turn off group notifications. Yes, you know, I did that too. And for some reason, I'm still getting them all the time. And Alpha Papa told me how to turn it off and it didn't work. And I don't blame Alpha Papa for that. I just think that there's something weird happening with my account. And that's why I'm creating a new home server, so I can get rid of the notifications. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I hope that was useful to you today. There's not a whole lot in the show notes for you to go back and like see all the things we talked about. I mean, there is like kind of an overview of what we were doing. But at least if you watch through this video, you probably learned a few little tricks here and there. I know I certainly did. And I don't know, I feel like Dired is a really useful tool. The nice thing about Emacs is that it gives you what you need to start abandoning the shell, or like bash or Z shell or whatever. There's really no reason to be typing commands for a lot of stuff whenever you have a user interface that can streamline these operations in such a way like Dired does, or even like Magit does. So having a text-focused and keyboard-focused interface to do common operations that often can be a little bit slow on the terminal without writing a script, I think it's a perfectly valid way to spend your time. I don't think it's cheating, you know, like maybe somebody thinks, oh, if I don't use a terminal, then I'm not like a real hacker. No, that's a load of BS. Like you need to use whatever's most effective. And to me, things like Dired and Magit are way more effective than going and typing around in a terminal. So the amount of time I spend in a terminal these days for basic file or version control operations is minimal. And I almost don't even use it anymore because like Emacs compile can take care of like running compilers and test tools and stuff. So I don't know, like shells don't really play a big role for me anymore, which I like it that way. All right, so like I said, the matrix and IRC situation is kind of the future of what we're doing now for the System Crafters chat. So if you want to learn more about that, go to the System Crafters news page, and there's an entry about that there, or just follow this link in the show notes. Like I said, the rooms we use or the space that we use might change over the next couple of days, depending on whether I determine running my own home server is better for what we need to do. I don't know if it's going to happen yet. I need to evaluate it a little bit first, but I kind of feel like it will happen. We'll see. I just want to make sure I can kind of like make a decision fast, move everybody over, and then not have to like change things again. So give me your feedback on that if you have any, and also make sure to sign up for the newsletter because I send it out every Thursday. It's got, you know, tips and information in it that you don't get anywhere else in the channel. So it's pretty cool. And anyway, thank you all for being here today. Really appreciate it. Had a good time. Hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, happy hacking. We'll see you.